I literally haven't worn makeup in over a week, probably 10 or 12 days. And I am feeling better. Today is probably the best day I've felt since this whole allergy flare-up thing started. It's been over 3 weeks now, like 3.5 weeks. I just started using this new tinted moisturizer and I really love it. I think it's like just the perfect little evenness while looking really natural. I know there's all these mascaras you can get at like Sephora and whatever, these designer mascaras. I've tried, I feel like all, and I still always go back to my drugstore mascara. You can't convince me I need to pay $30+ for a mascara when my $12 one does this. This is all we're doing today. I'm gonna get dressed and we will come back and hopefully at the very least tend to these plants that are falling on the floor. Hello, welcome if you're new here, and if you're back, thank you so much for coming back. This is gonna be a little bit different style of video. I appreciate you might not be interested, but I thought this would be something good to share because I feel like a question that often comes up and I'm asked about it frequently is, what do I do to avoid plant burnout, or when I'm experiencing plant burnout, or just something to that effect in regards to burnout. And this isn't exactly burnout. This was my body was physically, experiencing a terrible allergy flare-up that I will go into in a little bit more detail a little bit later. But basically, I'm in a state now where I'm finally feeling better. Today is the first day that I finally feel the best I felt in the last 3.5 weeks. So I kind of wanted to show you what I'm doing, have been doing, or not doing in regards to plants, and how I'm just kind of resetting and trying to get myself in a better place so that I can then start showing up for all of the things that I love. If that sounds good to you, stick around. We'll go back in time. Today is Thursday, so I'll show you, I've taken a little bit of footage throughout the week as far as what I've been able to get done or not do, and then we will come back into today and I'll show you what I get into today. To give you a little bit of context without boring you with the whole story, I basically had an allergy flare, like seasonal allergies that affected me on a systemic level, and I was very, very miserable physically for the better part of 2 full weeks. And by the second week, my mental and emotional health, like the toll, the way I was feeling, and there was no progress and symptoms were getting worse and nothing was helping, was pretty bad. I went to urgent care twice. I saw my primary. I eventually got into an ENT, and I am being tested for allergies and what the triggers might be. So I'm hopeful that I will have some answers soon, but in this moment, I'm just so thankful that I'm feeling better. I'm not sure if you're going to see a video in between my watering before I leave town and this video or not, but basically that was the last video I shot before things took an extreme bad turn, and I pretty much haven't really done much with my plants since. Thankfully, at that point, all the plants were nicely watered, and I did change the timers on my grow lights for lesser hours in the day to 8 hours. So things weren't too bad. I'll show you again what I've gotten up to this week with my plants and kind of where they are and maybe some of the consequences, but that's basically the gist. We'll rewind now over to Monday and I'll show you how I deal with, again, this isn't a plant burnout, but my body was like pretty much plants are in the back burner. So I'll show you what it is that I do and don't do during these situations. Monday was exactly 2 weeks since I last watered all my plants. Coming in and out of the room, I noticed that everything in my Millsbow wide was pretty thirsty. Lots struggling, and it really broke my heart when I saw my baby longiloba just flopped on the bottom surface of the cabinet. So I decided that I could get up and water those plants. To go get my blood drawn and test for these allergens, so let's go. I am just a little bit worried because they always have a hard time finding a good vein, and blood drawing is usually really slow, like my blood doesn't just shoot out. And then also I'm like I could have had lunch before going. I didn't have to fast, but I also didn't want to rush, so I'm gonna have lunch after, and I don't know how much blood they're taking, but hopefully it'll all be okay. All done, and they only took 3 little vials, so I feel okay. Now I'm gonna go have lunch, and yeah, I hope that answers are on their way. I woke up on Thursday feeling the absolute best I had since the flare started, which just did wonders for my energy and my overall mood. And I I got to go to Plantitas, my favorite local plant shop. I do marketing services for them, so I'm usually there once a week, and I just love visiting the shop. I love the people, the shop is beautiful, the plants are beautiful, and I even treated myself to a new plant. I'd been missing a Hoya Bella in my collection since I got rid of mine last year or 2 years ago, so we were off to a really good start. Later when I got home, I was still just feeling energized just from being out, getting some sun and some fresh air, and again visiting the plant shop. So I wanted to come in and at the very least clean up the spills that I had going on in my office. And I then watered just a couple of emergency plants, mostly alocasias. And I finally tended to those plants that I lost, my alocasia ninjas, and some of the corms were still viable, so I collected those to hopefully set up for propagation. Overall, today was a great day. I was feeling productive, motivated, and just excited to keep going and getting back into my routine. It's the following Monday. This vlog really isn't going according to plan or according to, I hope to deliver this to you, but I still want to put this out there for you just to give you a little bit of a glimpse as to, you know, at the end of the day, I said, someone asked me something about how my plants were doing since like I'd been neglecting them so much, taking care of my health, and I said I love my plants, but I love me more, and I think that these circumstances come up frequently for different reasons, again, whether it's your health or you're burnt out for other reasons or what have you. And at the end of the day, plants are meant to bring us joy and center and ground us and enhance our self-care. But when they become a thing that's getting in the way between your self-care, then it just, you know, they need to take a back seat. And that is exactly what happened with me over the last several weeks at this point. I was hopeful I would come on later that day and get some things done, and then the next day and wrap up some other things and hopefully continue to hydrate my collection. But the truth is, like leaving the house for the first time in like 2 weeks was taxing. I was so tired. So I just came back and I cleaned up a little bit, which is the most that I could do. And then the following day, I woke up feeling worse. So that was like the best day I'd had in a long time. And then I woke up on Thursday or on Friday feeling worse, and I just really again dialed everything back down and focused on just taking care of me. And yeah, that's just what I've been up to. So instead of continuing to show you the things I'm able to do when I'm prioritizing my health or don't have time for them or what have you, I'm gonna kind of just show you briefly like what's happened and the state of my plants, essentially neglecting them for 3 weeks at this point. This isn't going to be super long or anything. I'm just going to go around and kind of show you some casualties and kind of the state of what's happening, and then I'll share what I hope my plan is for the upcoming days and weeks and see if, you know, also just being gentle on myself, that things may or may not get done, and that just is what it is right now. I'll briefly mention those plants you saw me pick up from the floor and the ones that had spilled. Those were my alocasia ninjas. I don't remember if I mentioned that last time or not. So I was able to get, or I think one of the corms was still viable, but I haven't set up the corms, so I don't know how long they last, just dried up in a bowl. So I'll need to take a look at those at some point. And I'll also mention my grow rack is struggling pretty bad. Mostly the one that has all the Monstera aurea cuttings. I feel like a lot of those have dried out. I probably lost a couple or several. I'll insert some B-roll because I just want to keep things honest and real with you as to what's going on, and you know, life happens. The other grow rack that has a lot of the props and the quarantines and things like that, a lot of plants are parched. They need to be watered, but for the most part I think that I will be able to save a lot of those. A lot of them are in humidity domes, so that really saves me in being able to, they just don't dry out as quickly, I guess. But yeah, this is the reality of just not being on top of my plants for 3 weeks at this point. We did a whole tour not that long ago, so I'm just going to briefly show you. The moss poles are actually okay. They could use water, but they're not too bad. This is thirsty for sure. I really should tend to this alocasia quickly if I don't want to lose it, but in general, everything is hanging in there on in this area. I did water the greenhouse not long ago. It looks like it needs, or like sometime last week, but it looks like it needs water again, and unfortunately, I think I have spider mites because look at that damage on that leaf again. In fact, I can see the webbing. So there's that. My baby Longiloba is suffering. This moss pole is thirsty, so is that Mandula and the burl marks. These Monsteras need to be watered, especially this one right here. These Hoyas seem to be doing fine. I did top some of these off on Thursday with you last Thursday. Still haven't tended to the serpents. Looks like that's very parched. This is very thirsty. Probably all these Hoya need watering. The Splendid's not doing so bad. This doesn't look terrible, this bottom half, but I can tell that Anthurium is very thirsty. This hybrid Florida Beauty is very thirsty, and have a huge new leaf. That is the Nobilis Pink. It's giving me a new leaf though. That new leaf looks like it's gonna be stunning. And this is the Alocasia Lightning. I have a hard time holding on to more than one leaf. This pendant Anthurium Pallidiflorum is very thirsty. Those Anthuriums are hanging in there. Pretty much gonna lose, I think, my Crimson Queen because I never tended to it. Very thirsty, hanging in there. This one will be good for a while. These two are doing okay. That was on the list to tend to, and I obviously haven't done it, so we'll see. These two Anthuriums are doing great. Down here on the desk, very thirsty, both of them. And then down here, these look to be okay. I'll stop rambling because you've seen my plans, you've seen everything that needs to be done. Again, I just wanted to share realistically like what happens from time to time for various reasons. It could be anything. And, you know, we have lots to get done, hopefully, in the next coming weeks. I know that this isn't the kind of content you're used to seeing from me, but I did think it was important to share that, you know, things aren't always perfect, and my collection is certainly not perfect. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's just plants, and we need to care for ourselves first. I'll stop blabbing. If you watched, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate you spending your time with me. I do hope and plan to film a YouTube video later today that's kind of just easy peasy, and I'll be able to do something and then share that with you soon. So I will see you soon. Thank you again so much. Bye.